Hi, my name is Michael Trout. I'm a permaculture gardener, and I want to share with you what I've done this spring in the hopes that you will copy it and improve on it and do better. I call this my salad garden. Why? Because ultimately, over 90% of what's growing here is edible, and a lot of it is actually for salads and for omelets and other things. What you see here, this is actually red cauliflower, and this was actually bought in the store as sprouts, and I just basically pulled them apart and planted them all around. And a lot of times you can pick up sprouts in the store, and the opportunity is don't eat them, plant them. And then what happens is, think about it, these are really delicious. And what I do is I just take off the leaf, and you can put it in your omelet, and it's really tasty and it's really nutritious. Boom. This is spinach, and this spinach basically is secondhand spinach. What I mean by secondhand spinach, well, I bought spinach in the store, and I basically planted the base of it, which you don't eat anyway, right? And I just stuck it in the ground, and it's grown up. And again, you've got really tasty little leaves, and you can actually also eat. These are seed pods, right? And they're kind of crunchy and they're tasty, so you can actually get, types of spinach. And I guarantee you that if you grow your own food, it's going to taste so much better. My wife made her cooked spinach, right, this morning, and she didn't have any, so she's like, hey, grab me some spinach. And she made it, and it blew her mind. She's like, wow, this is the best tasting. I said, of course, because it's grown. The problem with store food is they grow spinach and other food really quick, so it doesn't have a chance to build up nutritional value. This spinach that I'm growing is full of nutritional value. And as you can see, I've got it growing spaced out all over the place, right? It's all growing. So when I want spinach for my garden, I just go out and I just pick the larger leaves and, and put them in my salad. This is onion, that basically, and green onion, I don't know which are which, that I've put into the garden. Again, these are ends, so every time I eat an onion, I chop the end off and I stick it in the ground. And as you can see, I have it growing. And onions are really good insect repellent, right, because they don't like it. And as I see, I've got it growing all around. I just stick it in the ground, and it's... These are my first blueberries, so I have a number of blueberry plants going all the way around. As you can see, there's lots of blueberries now. This is just the first year, so I just planted these, and they're full of blueberries. I've started adding trees. This is a fig tree, and you'll notice I have it bent over because I'm actually going to grow this fig tree along the side. So I'm not going to let it grow up. I'm going to make it grow basically sideways. And I've got another video showing that, but basically there's a fig tree. Over here is an apple or pear tree, I'm not sure, that I grew from seed. Here's my little bee feeder for it catches rainwater in my hose water, so it's safe food water for the bee. Here's another apple or pear tree that I put in here, right? So these will grow up as I start adding trees. Unfortunately, this is not so happy. Lacos or biwa tree. Hopefully it's going to recover. I don't know why the seedling isn't doing so well. This is actually last year's garden, and all I did was created a bed. I cut out the path around it. I realized I needed to provide a walkway because my kids were running around on it. You don't want to compress. As you can see, there's tons of this red clover, which is a great herb. It has lots of properties, and in between there you can see that I have trees. This biwa tree is doing better. So I planted about 10 biwa trees, and some of them are dying and some of them not. Also I have like tomatoes growing up in here, as you can see here. I have two types of thyme right here. I've got like lemon thyme and kind of a more wild thyme. You can see this is the wild thyme that has different flowering cycles. The lemon thyme flowers sooner. And over here you can see I have chai. This is chai, and I've got chai growing up all in here, and this makes a really great flower. And this is actually second generation chai. I bought seed last year, and this is actually time. There's a little tomato plant growing up in there, right? And over here that's actually spearmint, more spearmint, and I have another tomato plant here. This is blackberry or raspberry. I can't remember if it's blackberry. I think actually it could be raspberry. So these are 2 raspberry or blackberry bushes. Can't remember. More tomatoes. As you can see, I've got the stakes in here. Here's some, that is sweet basil, another tomato. And I wish I knew what this is called, but this produces a berry too. A big shrub. This will grow really tall. And so, as you can see, I already got some stakes in there. I have another fig tree here. And actually there's another biwa tree. I don't know if you can see it in here. There's a biwa tree in there, right? Better. It seems like the biwa tree does better where has more shade. They like a shade, apparently, I think. That's what I'm gathering, because the ones out in the sun aren't doing that well. And here's another tomato. Now this is interesting. All I did was put down some ground cover and then use these tiles and then basically made a hole and planted the tomato. So this soil, this tomato, I expect is going to do really well. This soil is very rich in nitrogen from this, it's from this red clover that's all around. And the other thing I do is I've been tearing this red clover and just putting it down as ground cover. And you can see now the flowers. So I'm going to stop doing that and let the flowers develop, because it will attract insects, pollinators. This is an edible rape that I bought in the store. Again, this was started off as just a little end of it, and it's grown up, and it's actually produced all these seed pods. Now I'm going to let these seed pods brown, and this is going to be used to seed my garden next year, and over the winter. So I'm going to have lots of this edible rape that's going to grow over the winter and the springtime to replace the other plants, because this stuff will grow, actually will start growing in the fall. So this is all going to be used. So look at all the seeds, thousands of seeds. And down here, there's some potatoes. And there's a lot more potatoes down here. This is actually, I think this is shison growing up. And you can see there's the red clover now is flowering. Another tomato, as you can see. And then I've got lots of potatoes growing in this area here. This is all potatoes. And this is all new part of the garden that I've planted. And I just made this bed. And I'm actually going to start putting plants. I'm going to take all these tiles off today and actually add plants. Oh, there's a new addition. I forgot. This is grape. So this is grape that I had growing in my greenhouse that I've planted here. And I'm going to have this grape actually go up this vine here and up against the house and around and grow over that way. That's the idea. So I'm going to have it growing up this pipe here. Use this pipe because it's as a fixture, let it to keep it growing up. Here's my worm garden, and I put show you this real. So this is my kitchen door. Now open the door and I can throw kitchen waste in here that then I cover. So as you can see, there's ants and stuff in there, and it will get covered to minimize the flies and stuff like that in there. And I'm going to add, once this gets filled up, I'm actually going to add more worms to it for my worm farm. And I've got in a very sunny location, I've got this tomato basil bed that I put in there, and as you can see, the tomatoes are actually growing and doing well. And I threw some other seeds, and these tomatoes down here, I'm actually going to probably pull out. These are tomatoes, new tomatoes in here, lots of tomatoes growing up and around there, right? These are babies. And just by throwing down seed that I'm probably going to pull out and plant elsewhere in the garden. You know, the land, before I started, it looked like this gravel here, right? That's what it was. It was just gravel. And I had to rake up the gravel, and I've used the gravel in different ways, and I've done videos on it. But it's basically, you can do this to any land. I mean, I've done this basically just this summer, this early spring and summer, and I've gotten all this food starting to grow. And over the years to come, I'm going to have apples, I'm going to have oranges, I'm going to have pears, and create a food forest right in my front yard. Because what's the point of having this gravel? What's the point of having land, you know, like this that doesn't provide any food for the family? And if you're going to provide food, you better do it using permaculture. Study permaculture. If you want books on it, I'll put a link in the description. to a book on permaculture that you can check out and start learning. Permaculture ultimately can transform our current farming system into one that's sustainable.